Sunil ji for a few years, and it's been an honor and pleasure. But so some things I may know, but a lot of things I still think I don't know him. And every time I speak to him, I learn so much. So I'm going to act like a sutradhar, and I'll ask some questions initially so that he talks. So 90%, 95% Sunil ji only talk. I'll couple of times I'll come in and ask him question. And in the last maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm also going to look at the chat box or Q&A. So all of you who are participating, I mean, I'll encourage you to post your questions on your chat box Q&A. I will look at them, and with your permission, I'm going to curate and pick up some of those questions and pass them on to Sunil ji to answer. Is that okay, Sunil ji?
Yes, sir. Absolutely fine.
Great.
Thank you.
So Sunil ji, like all good stories, you know, we must always start with the beginning. And there was a little note that I think Neha and others had sent out. Maybe some of us have read it, some of us have not. But it had the very interesting thing of, you know, how you started your journey. Initially, there was some expectation that you'll join your family business, but you wanted to do something on your own. And there was some initial hiccups. And then how did you overcome? So let's start from there. Up shuru kijiye wahi se ki what got you interested in this particular field? How did you start your journey? What were the initial learnings? Yeah.
So it's sort of a flashback to more than 30 years back. So when I came out of the college, we were historically into trading business, our family, and joint family, middle class family, reasonably well-to-do. And when I came out of college, I never wanted to join that business. So was looking around to do something, and then I thought of doing this personal care business. Actually, talcum powder in those days was very popular from Kolkata, so I said, and that was the easiest thing to do. So not much rocket science in that. So I thought, let me start that. And thankfully, my eldest brother gave me around 15 lakhs that time to start up my venture. And with all my passion, I started it and lost the entire money because I gave credit to all the dealers, and they never came back to return my money and place next orders. So that was a disaster. So those 1.5 years thereafter, my brother was very keen that I join the business. The core business was in Madhya Pradesh, where my eldest brother was located. He wanted me to join there because that was a flourishing business, but I didn't want to move out of Calcutta and go to Madhya Pradesh. So I told him to give me another chance, and thankfully he agreed that, okay, you have another 6 months to do something. And then suddenly, things started falling into place, and joy happened at that time. Before that, I did some other brand, and that didn't happen. And then we started with Joy. So Joy started something around 1988, and always wanted to do something which is innovative and distinctly different. Even in those days when I was a starter, we did ahead of time packaging and good perfume. Kolkata talc, as it is, were very popular in those days all over the country. So started it very modestly, and that is how the journey started. Did a lot of traveling all across the country during those days, but entire business was on credit, very difficult to get the monies back. But somehow I was able to earn my bread. I got married very early at the age of 22. So I had to, take care of the family as well. So thankfully I could manage my means. So those 8-10 years, we were only talcum, only talcum company. And till around 2004, next 10 years, we were doing talcum powder, but we get some popularity in talcum powder because of the good quality. We always believed in good quality, and that was working very well. But the business was only for 3 or 4 months in the summertime, and thereafter we were almost idle, not doing anything much. We were always looking to do something different, tried several times, but could not succeed. So I put my story into 3 phases. This is what I call the learning phase, because I traveled all across the country, got to know much about got a lot of insights about how dealers behave, what are the consumer requirements and all those things, because I was traveling constantly all across the country. Actually, this journey, along with my journey, my two shadows always moved along with me. My two nephews, Sanjay and Jitendra, they had been actively involved throughout this journey, and they have always taken the back seat, and they are not too much into the limelight, but they have always been there during the thick and thin of this entire journey. And of course, the hundreds and thousands of people who have worked during this journey, I'm thankful to them as well. So those till 2000, things were like we were just earning and making a living. We were not thinking about, doing something or some brand is emerging or something like that. We're just trying to earn our daily bread. That was the motto. But I don't know what happened. 2001, some turnaround happened, and we got into skincare creams, moisturizers majorly. And those days, natural offerings were not much. So there was not much inspiration from nature. So we thought of doing all our offerings from natural, nature inspired. So that time we conceived honey and almond cream. First, our first hero actually that time emerged, 2001. I still remember placing an order for 10,000 pieces was difficult for me. So, and today it is one of the largest selling creams in India. So that has been the journey for honey almond cream. So, and next year we came up with another cream, which is a fruit-based cream, and that is the largest selling cream in India, moisturizing cream in India, ahead of all other multinational brands as well. So, and we don't do much promotions about creams, but they still sell the most. They are bringing in a lot of numbers to us, and they are very respected. So these 2-3 years were like a turnaround year for us, and we are looking to further grow. And that time this exemption zones happened, announcement of industrial zones in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and that was the time, that was a transformation time for us, so to say. And we moved on to Baddi. So Baddi is where we actually got totally transformed, and I took a place on rent, thinking that let's give it a try. Not very sure, because we never have worked out of Kolkata, so not knowing how it will come out. So we took a place on rent, about 80,000 rupees rent those days for a 7,000 square foot plot, and very difficult to maintain because my turnover that time was only 3 crores or 4 crores annual turnover. So very difficult to manage those type of rents and what to do about it. So we thought, let's come out with more products so that at least we can manage our rents. So coming out with more products, what was the idea behind coming out with more products? So that we are able to do some operations every month from the factory. That was the idea. So sometimes the idea is actually very different from what you think now later. So, and then those from 2004 to 2008 or 9, we launched around 35-40 products. So all our hero products, most of them which are hero even today, those were conceived, planned, and done during those 4-5 years, just to take care of our overheads, so that that rent and overheads moving out of Kolkata to Baddi, we could manage their overheads. And the heroes emerged. We got into body lotions, where we got into honey lotion, which is now one of the respected, I think, number 4, number 3 as a company, and number 4 as a brand. So it's doing very well. Then we got into face washes. We got into many other categories, packs and scrubs and all those. So those 5-6 years were very transformative. A lot of things were happening, and we were growing almost 40 to 50% year on year. So from 4 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 22, 22 to 33, this was how we were jumping. And by around 2010, that was, I call it the end of the second phase of our organization. By around 2010, we were around 40, 45 crores. And you know what? We were not advertising. There was no media involved. So I don't know. So 2011, there was a dealer push. Dealers used to say, "Sir, अब माल और नहीं बिक रहा, अब आपको ऐड करना पड़ेगा." So हम यही बोलते थे कि अभी तक तो बिक रहा था, आगे क्यों नहीं बिकेगा? But then somehow we also thought that this is the time when we can go press to the next level. And 2011, we got into mass media advertising. While planning for that, we approached few media houses and we tell them that we are a personal care company and we want to get into advertising, and nobody has heard about us much in the media circles. And when we told them that this is how much we are doing as a turnover, so nobody believed. How can you sell so much without advertising a single penny? It can never happen. This is consumer product. It can't happen. So that gave us a lot of strength. That means what? The consumers are repeating our products. The products are actually passed on by one consumer to word of mouth to so many consumers. So very affordable, very high quality products, value for money to the consumers. And India being a middle class, high consumption economy, so the products were selling on their own. So till that time, we were not needing any advertising and nobody believed. But somehow we managed to convince them that yes, we have been doing this and we will be spending money. So from 2011, now the third phase when they started, we said that now we are out from the unorganized sector and we are getting into the organized sector of the industry. And we started getting some recognition when we signed in Bollywood brand ambassador Anushka Sharma, those days 2011. So the entire world stood up and said, who is this company which has signed young Anushka Sharma at this moment? And everybody was surprised where from this company has emerged. And we got into, and we had a lot of learnings and we did a lot of wrongs and rights and everything. And somehow by around 2015-16, we were into a stage where we were looking to press into the next level. We got into other brands as well beyond Joy. We got into international brand Caris, which will take care of the international markets. And then we got into a men's grooming brand X-Men. And we got into other forms of businesses as well, from modern trade to general trade to modern trade. And then now we are nurturing e-commerce we're trying to do. We got into exports as well, big time. So this is how the journey has been all through. So, and we will recognize as one of the leading skincare brands. So I think we are number 7 as per Nielsen reported last year in skincare in India. And a lot of people say that, there is lack of resources here in the East. And, one should move out of East and go to North or West so that you can transact your business in a better way. But I never have this belief. So, because out of, we are 7 here. So from on the top 7 list, 2 are from East, from Kolkata. And rest all are multinationals. So since this thinking, this mindset to people that things can't happen from East or any other place beyond a Delhi or a Mumbai or a Bangalore, I think it is a closed mindset. So things can happen. And now, so in these COVID times, I believe most of the people are working from home. So whether you are sitting in Baroda or whether you are sitting in Kolkata or New York, anywhere you are, so you're working from home most of the times. So it's not the place, it's the mindset which has to work. So this has been the journey more or less for RSH so far. Sir, I think you are on mute, sir.
Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I kept myself on mute to make sure I pay full attention. So this is very interesting, and how you, in a way, I mean, plan karke to aise hota nahi hai, but when you look back, the compartmentalized phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So one of the things, I mean, and of course, I know your product. One of the things that, as you rightly said, people were surprised when they realized that, even before you started advertising, that it had grown to that level. And I think one of the really exceptional things about your company and your product is a quality and the price value equation.
Yes, sir.
So, and I know, I mean, I've seen you personally spend a lot of time putting, and I've not seen too many heads of organizations spending as much time in actually looking at product formulation, looking at, internationally what's happening, going and attending international exhibitions, fairs, to find out what is the latest international trend. So where does this come from? This very strong focus on product. How does it come, and how do you kind of stay ahead or keep abreast? Because this is a category which is also very competitive, very global. So coming from Kolkata, how do you manage to keep that quality and that thing right?
So yes, sir, as you rightly asked me, basically this learning came when I said that around 10 years back, when we got into mass media advertising, just before that. So the realization came that time itself that my products are able to sell even if I don't spend a single penny on advertising, only because consumers are recommending to others. So whomsoever is using the product, more or less, they are quite content and satisfied and delighted at times, and they are sharing this with their friends and relatives and all. So the focus every time should have, and the innovation had been always at the center. Wherever, whatever we have done, even the honey almond cream was first of its kind when the ingredient story came in, and we are talking about honey and almond cream. And when you talk about skin fruit cream, the first fruit cream in India. Thereafter, thousands of fruit creams have come in last 15 years. So we always try to innovate. We always try to be distinctively different from all the offerings. It's not that we are doing something very different. We are doing a nourishing also. Other people had always been doing nourishing creams. It's not that we invented nourishing cream. But the idea behind was that we have to be so interestingly different and with so much of natureness into that. So consumers will get delighted with that. So, and that realization that it is the product which ultimately sells. So as this is the philosophy, this is the core of the organization, that the love for the product has to be much more than the love for money. So if we keep doing that, so you will get all your numbers. So if there are two things we can chase, either we chase to delight our consumers or we chase money. So it's always the product which has to be at the core. So if the product is at the core, I firmly believe, working in FMCG organization or maybe any organization or a service organization, the service offered or the product offered, it has to be at the core. If otherwise, any amount of advertising, it's not going to work for you. At certain point of time, you're bound to get into a mess. So, but if you have a fabulous product, it's very difficult for you to go down very easily. And on top of it, then what other things you need to do when you have a fabulous product? So what I have realized during this journey, that most of these homegrown Indian companies, mostly what they have done, and they got initial success for 5, 7, 10 years, and they got a hero product with them, and they rode that all through their life. So there are many examples. I don't want to put it here, but there are many homegrown companies, and you will find a single product, single hero product story with them for the last 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. But that realization that we also will get stuck into a honey lotion or a honey cream at a certain point of time. So what we have to do, so we have to think that the consumer needs are changing. The world is fast evolving. Now in this internet age, the consumers are exposed to the entire global offerings which are happening. So we have to keep innovating. We just can't sit on our laurels. Whatever we have done has been done. Every day is a new day, and we have to keep thinking as to what next for our consumers. So when we did, I'll share you an example. So when we got into mass media advertising, our turnover was 50 crores. And my moisturizers, creams, lotions were 45 crores. My face wash was only 1 crore. But that time, 9 years back, we chose face wash as a category to be advertised. So entire organization, in fact, I'm not saying anything external. The internal organization was, debating as to what we are doing. Are we are doing the wrong thing? We should actually banking all our money, putting all our money on moisturizers so that it can grow further. So we thought ahead of time during those days. Face was only a 300 crore category that time. Now it is 2,500 crore plus category in 9 years. So it has grown 9 times. So that realization as to what next, what would evolve, what will emerge. So that realization has to come, and that you have to keep hunting. You have to keep reinventing. Otherwise, you are actually standing on sand. So suddenly you'll come down. So you have to keep reinventing and be future ready always. That is the biggest challenge for any organization, to be future ready and to remain relevant to the consumers. That is what we have been doing. So product has to be at the center for that to happen. So that is the reason, as you asked me, that why product, why so much focus and emphasis on the product. So most of the entrepreneurs, what they do after initial success, when they create wealth, they become wealth managers instead of actually they start with product. They start their life story with product, good innovations, lot many other things, and after accumulation of some wealth or generation of some wealth, And then they become wealth managers. They talk only to these PE funds and all these organizations, and they don't put much focus on the product side, on the innovation side, and all those things. So those are the realizations which needs to happen. So that way we are very fortunate that we have product at the core.
So what I take out from what you just said is the fact that, keeping product at the core, not only in the initial success phase, but, continuous innovation and continuous, development. Because a lot of initial success companies have one hero product and then they get stuck with that. And then they get busy just managing that, or assuming then managing money becomes more important than the product. So this entire product pipeline, what is the source of, how do you figure out which category or which product or which ingredient should you do? Is it by looking at consumer taste changing? Is it by looking at international trends? Is it by looking at competition? Is it by looking at category growth? What are the inputs that help you decide that these are some of the future pipeline that we must focus on?
So, sir, a combination of all those factors you said. So majorly, but thanks to internet. So I'm talking, if you ask me 10, 20 years back, I still feel that we could do better innovations because that time only the thinking mind was working. But unfortunately, I should not say, I think, but these days our mind is more influenced by these internets and the social media and all other things where you get to know everything what is happening around the world. So actually your thinking mind takes a backseat and you're only looking to copy, manipulate, deviate and try to do similar things which others are doing. But somehow, that, what you can say, that read to, ape or copy something should be kept at the backseat. But now is an information age. So you are actually informed about all those developments which are happening, even if you're not traveling to exhibitions, seminars and all those things. Even then also you have everything. So there's so many platforms where from you can get the latest trends, innovations, inventions, what has happened in what is happening in personal care industry, skincare industry. So, and then from there we try to pick up ingredients. There are some ingredients which may not be very relevant to Indian market. So if something is with bakuchi oil or a passion fruit, we will not do. With something which can relate to our Indian consumers, we'll certainly try to, read those stories as to whether it can have legs and we can take it forward as a story in India and as an ingredient in India. This is how we try to innovate.
Okay. So one of the inspiration thing that you said is that, location should not be a constraint. The fact that two of the large skincare FMCG companies are actually from East and from Kolkata and they are competing with the multinational. That should be source of inspiration. So what is shopping up in other industries, other categories for more successes happening from Kolkata? What do you think?
Only one, mindset. Nothing else. There is no dearth of resources, nothing. I think we have the best of resources. Of course, the availability of resources may not be as much in abundance as it is in north or west. But of course, there is not so much of attrition as well here. So it balances out. So ultimately, I feel if you are able to, if you are able to get your resources right, get your people right, and then you keep that focus that how to grow, how to make their career also grow. So if they are growing and if you put a career path to them, if they are also growing, they will not think of moving away out. Nobody wants to move out of Kolkata. People have left Kolkata thinking that there is no opportunities here. But I don't think that is the case. Now, we have so many passionate people working for us. A few of them who, you yourself has come out from Mumbai and settled down in Kolkata. So that itself is a case study. So it's not that things will not happen here. I don't think so.
Okay. The other interesting thing that you again started fairly early was starting to take Joy international in the Indian subcontinent, and then creating this brand called Caris, which is doing very well in the Middle East and Africa market. So where did this idea of while you had not still captured the whole of India market, you were still dominating in certain regions. Parallelly, where did this idea of going outside India becoming a beginning international brand. Where did that idea come from?
Sir, we were looking to go global actually. By around, as I said, from 2011 onwards, we are thinking to grow the business, step up the ladder. So we need to move international as well. So we thought, because Joy was more, the offerings which we are doing in Joy, the brand Joy, were more or less centric towards the SHARC countries majorly. So if we look to take Joy itself to all over the world, there we might face few challenges because our SKU sizes were much lower than what are internationally required. And even the offerings which we had, maybe 30-40% of those offerings might be, acceptable in those markets. The rest all will be more relevant to our consumers in SHARC countries. So we thought, why not come up with a different brand totally, which will have an international appeal, and it will cater to the requirements of the entire international market. I'm not talking about a European market. I'm not talking about American market. I'm talking about Middle East, Far East, Asian markets, and African markets. So where we can have a basket of products, even today, whatever we have in carriage, there are 70% common products, even 30% products are different from different markets. That is how we have structured that. So it's not that every product, even in carriage, is for all markets, but we read those markets, study those markets, what is relevant there, accordingly we put our offerings. So based on that, we are doing that. So had we taken Joy there, we would have maybe 70% of the total portfolio changed to different. So we thought, why not take in a different brand?
But the ambition to go global or go international, how did that begin?
Sir. How did that become? So that's always there. People are looking to go to Mars for holidays. So we were just looking to, go out of India, and we were doing good in Nepal and surrounding markets, but we wanted to venture out of SHARC countries and go to global markets, taste waters, see whether we can, make some dents. And we are doing very good in African markets and Middle East. Africa is growing, I think, around 50% year on year. We're very confident that in 5 years' time, we will have some lead markets in Africa as well. We were leading markets, yes.
And in those countries, do they know that this brand is coming from India, or do they? And who are the competitors?
Sir, competition though, I don't think I don't look around for competition, even in domestic market as well. So competition is a huge opportunity for every brand, sir. I don't think anybody. So you can say who influences you more, or which brand you want to be in those markets. So I don't think it's a very cluttered market and very staggered market, and people from different parts of the world, they come and try to load up things in Africa, price advantages and all those things, but we are not trying to do all those things. Again, there also we are trying to do things very differently. We are going very slow and very steady. We started doing Africa 3-4 years back, and now we are realizing that after 3-4 years of constant working with whatever we could offer to them, instead of trying to do things which they wanted to do, which were only price markets, now things are doing well. And now we can see that we can grow not even 50%, we can grow maybe double up year on year in few markets. So it's good. I mean, we have been even different in those markets as well. Most of our so-called competitors from India now started realizing that this carriage is doing very well in those markets, and we need to do something about it.
So one of your, it's not so much a secret, but one of your recipe for success has been, let's say, product innovation. One has been product quality, where consumers are always happy. But the other thing that you managed to do is to keep your products fairly reasonably priced. So how do you manage this? Innovating, coming out with newer products, coming out with good quality products, and yet very, very competitive in pricing. How do you manage this magic mix? I'm calling it a magic mix because obviously your competitors would also like to do it, but you seem to be able to do it better. How do you do that?
So, sir, as I said, the core is the product. So, to be honest with you, while we are doing the, setting up for an R&D for any particular product, even at that time also, we usually don't give a brief as to this has to be within this price frame. Usually that is to be done. So that, ultimately, this will be my product cost and this will be my MRP and all that. But here also we are not doing that. We first try to make a very good product. So we give open freedom to our R&D people that make us a good product, but for mass market. Don't make it a premium product. Make it for mass market. The only idea behind is what we try to do is the price bracket at which we work. We want to be the best product in that price bracket. I will not say my product will fight or compete with an Olay or a ST Lauder. They're into a different price bracket, right? So the price bracket in which we work, we want to be the best. That is the only idea we have in our minds. The price point which we operate in, we have to be our product has to be number one. So our numbers may be number 3 or number 4, but most of the categories where we are operating, be it a skin cream or a body lotion or a sunscreen or face washes. Face wash has been a big struggle for us. 2011 we started, and we were not even in the top 20 when we started. Gradually now we have moved on. Now we are number 7 in the list in 2020. So we are trying to be within the top 5 very shortly, maybe in next 2-3 years time. So so costing. Of course, we understand that what is my platform of play. So I can't go beyond that platform. I can't lower my platform. I will not go above that platform also, as you know very well. So the brand perception is such that it is mass market, and exactly we knowing our consumers as to what they will buy. Accordingly, we are placing our products, and we are very sensitive about the pricing, and we very, maybe I should thank my purchase department. They are very ruthless in purchase, maybe.
Okay. So what are some of the changes and trends that you're seeing? For example, I think you've also have now, the e-commerce platform is becoming bigger, maybe because of COVID. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing already happening, or will you foresee happening on the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Sir, e-commerce is only e-commerce platforms. Yes, it is a new emergence post-COVID. It has really started getting accelerated, but it's not getting new consumers. I mean, the category. The skincare is not growing beyond 10% year on year. So even if you will find, you may be hearing a lot of stories that e-commerce online is roaring and it's exploding and all those things. Yes, it is. But maybe it is taking pies from modern trade or general trade or somewhere, but it's only a share which is getting shifted. But actually, the categories are not growing as much as most of the people think. So when we look at the figures which we have for last year against this year, although this is a COVID year, so we should not be measuring this now, but even next year when COVID is gone, maybe, and when we see that even then also you will not find that it has grown to 20% or 25%. The growth will not be such. So it's around 10%. It's only that maybe modern trade is taking some dent, or maybe general trade is taking some dent, and e-commerce is ignoring. People are more comfortable buying from home instead of moving out. So that is the trend. So, but yes, evolution of e-commerce is happening in the sense that some masstige and premium category products, there is a gradual little shift. Some more buying happening there. So, but that category is very small. So if skincare is around 15,000 crores, premium, maybe I don't see it, maybe around 1,000 or 1,200 crores. There might be it has grown by 20%. But the mass market skincare is growing by 10% only. So overall, you'll always find a 10 to 11% growth only. That is it.
Okay. My next question is, what were some of the challenges? How did you deal? What were the learnings during COVID? Be it
During
production,
COVID,
supply chain, organization, work culture. We were talking a little bit earlier. What were some of the challenges? What are the learnings, and how is that going to impact business moving ahead?
sir, when COVID struck, so that time we thought that it's the end. So I'm talking about that Janta curfew those days. So March last year. So we thought what's going to happen, and the first thing we started doing internally, because everybody will start indoors. So those 6-8 weeks of staying indoors, we were planning as to how we are going to survive. We first made a survival plan as to we need to ensure that we don't terminate. First, we took a place that will not terminate a single person till December 2020, whatever may come. So even if we are not generating any revenues, we'll ensure that everybody stays back into the organization. So that is one pledge internally as management we took, and thankfully we could manage that, and everybody is with us. So that one important call that was very important, because those times are not, we do business all around the year. We've been doing business for more than 30 years. But this was a time when you have to be with your people and you have to ensure them that uh, don't worry, things will get normalized. And thankfully, I tell you, first 3 months were very painful when actually there was zero revenue almost. And then thereafter, some movement started. We got into hygiene category also, some bit of it. Uh, Tasted some initial success, but thereafter the big daddies again took over. And then from August onwards, we went back to our core, moisturizers and body lotions and all those things. And the numbers started coming and we could generate revenue. And I think even this year we'll not close anything below last year, thankfully. So we could even manage those 3 months of zero sales, and we could, cover up those also.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
So right now on a month-to-month basis, you are clearly ahead of last year.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Last 4 months had been such. Till about August, it was very difficult. September was almost 0-0, but then October, November, December had been good. Fingers crossed. We feel that if the second wave doesn't come, so we can manage definitely by March. We'll close up with last year's.
But have some consumer habits changed? People going out less, or because of that, anything changing? Maybe cosmetics may have been, but personal care, is there any change in consumer habits?
I think sunscreen, we finding that there is some slide. I mean, we're not getting those type of numbers. Maybe, but this was winter so far. Next 2 months will tell us whether sunscreens will again take it up. But otherwise, face washes and moisturizers, I don't think they much dropped in consumption. Of course, initial 3-4 months there was, but now I think it has recovered mostly.
Okay. Something that you mentioned, you said that you made up your mind even when the sales had gone down dramatically because of lockdown, that you're not going to let go of people at least till December. Now, I've seen you, I've seen your organization. I think there is something very unique or strong about the culture of the organization. Do you want to talk a little bit about it? And how do you build that culture? And given COVID, given this work from home, this, that, do you see that culture changing or evolving, or do you think you need to create and continue to hold on to a particular kind of culture? Is the culture different in this part of the country? What are your thoughts?
Sir, the core has to remain. I mean, the core values which we have, to be very honest in everything which we do, be it a product offering or with our people or with our vendors or everyone. And so that honesty part is the most important part. That is at the center. And we don't believe in maintaining any short-term relationship. So the relationship, even if even the people who have worked for us in the journey of 30 years, many have left and moved on for better opportunities, but most of them even are in touch even today. So it's, I mean, that type of a culture which we have created, where it's like, yeah, it's your life and now you think that this is the time to move on, fine. So but then that personalized relationship still remains. So that relationship, you always believe, even if, like, I maintain a good relationship with you. You have mentored me for 3-4 years. And now we hardly talk these days. But the moment I got to know that, I say I felt honored that you will be conducting this for me.
The honor is
So
entirely mine, Sunil ji. Don't say that.
so that culture we try to maintain, and this is at a core. So I think this has come from our parents. So that don't chase money, and you do keep doing good work, and things will, or everything will start falling into place. You don't have to worry much about your source of livelihood and all those things. So those things have remained, and we still feel that this is a journey. It's not we're not doing anything finite. We trying to, we just torchbearers for now, and we'll pass on the batons to the next generations or next generation of entrepreneurs, and they will take it forward. This is how it is. So we need to pass on the culture. That is also more important.
When an organization becomes large, like yours has become now, and it grows across geographies, how do you create and maintain and hold on and propagate that culture? When new managers are coming, new people are joining, new geographies are getting added. How does that? When in a small organization, it's easy to, everybody constantly interacts, easy to. How do you maintain that culture when an organization grows?
So that comes, yeah, that's always a challenge, and more so when you're trying to get yourself more organized, more professionalized, and also these are the challenges which we have started facing last 4 5 years. And but then somehow there's some sort of osmosis, I don't know, this happens, there are already some people who are there for several years, and when the newcomer comes in and they try to prove themselves faster than they should, and then they say, hang on, it's not that you have to prove within 3 months that you are worth something for which you have been hired. Hang on, it's a long journey. Don't worry. You'll have your space. And more often than not, we have found that we are able to even bring in new people and able to maintain this. This has happened, and this is a very good question. This is a challenge actually for us. So we at times play the HR hat. We at times play that enabler as to how to get newer people who are coming to us, getting them into our system, into our culture. So we have been able to do, but that's a challenge, as you rightly said. That will remain a challenge for any growing organization, which is trying to come out of the shackles of being a homegrown organization to a process and system oriented, professionalized organization. That is a challenge, but that is again a journey. It's not that it will happen in a day. So it has a process. I think with time we'll be able to do this. Yes, I have seen that these things, even when we have operations in Baddi. So there also we find, so that's 1500 kilometers away, and nobody, very few people are interacting or traveling there, looking at the culture. But somehow I think even that has been imbibed. When the new managers join, they try to say, why we are not doing this, why we are not doing that. Somebody told me, I remember 10 years back, sir, why we are paying our vendors in 30 days time. Most of the companies which I have worked with earlier, they never pay before 60 days. So why we are paying in 30 days? We are spoiling them all this. So I said, hang on, this is what we do, and this is what we maintain, and we need to do this. So please forget whatever you have learned so far. So, so these challenges, these small challenges we keep facing, but that we tell them that this is how let's be honest, this is how we feel that 30 days are good enough for us. Let's pay our vendors in that time. We'll get the best of services from them. They're our partners.
So if I may make use the word, in a way, it is coming not because of the business or the money part of it. It's coming probably from your heart or your belief system. But
Yeah.
What I'm also hearing is that in a way, you're making a business case for the power of relationship. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
It's a slower but a more long-term and a more durable way of building a business when you build strong relationships with your ecosystem.
True. So very difficult in these disruptive days when everything is technology based and everything is getting more organized, more professionalized. But I think we with our strong culture, we are able to hold on to it. And we still feel that we are going modern, we are having modern offerings. It's not that we are still in those late 90s or 2000, we still not functioning that. But then every year we are trying to fast forward it. Every year we are trying to fast forward by another 2 3 years. It's like that. So we have to catch up. We are a little slow on that. We'll catch up it very fast.
Catch up in what areas?
Catch up in the areas as to that balancing, as I said, that question of yours as to how you balance and that belief and culture which you have, and how you will transform it and take it to the next generation, or going forward, how you're going to manage it and maintain it. So that is where we are taking a lot of efforts. The founders, as founders, me, Sanjay, Jitendra, we are taking a lot of efforts, basically more on those lines as to those beliefs. The core values should be maintained even for future generations of entrepreneurs who are going to handle the business.
Okay. One thing that we were talking about early, just between you and me, but I think maybe a couple of people were overhearing, is this because of COVID, work from home, all of that. So how is that transforming organization? And in the long run, even short run, I think most organizations are still either largely, partly, or mostly in a work from home model. But a lot of companies are experimenting. They're saying, "Abhi to is saal till vaccination is done, we'll probably have to play safe. We have to maintain social distancing. We are allowing, companies like TCS, Unilever, they've all said that ki is saal karenge." But in the long run, some people are also saying that maybe, work from has advantages. On the other hand, they're also saying that too much of work from home is also not good for culture because people have to meet and interact. So what is the future of work? And do you think it is dependent on the industry or category? Do we need a hybrid model? How will you go ahead? And that has implications, obviously, for your HR policies, your HR practices, uh, your offices, meetings, size of office. Everything will get impacted. No.
Yes, sir,
So thanks to
absolutely.
COVID, I think we have all suddenly faced some new questions that normally we may not have asked ourselves. So what are these questions and what are some of the answers that are emerging in your head, or how do you see it going ahead overall and particularly in your organization?
So, sir, we have to take it as it comes. Life. So, what COVID has taught us, the life is very temporary. So, you don't know the situation which you are in today. You don't know what is going to happen 3 months hence. So, instead of thinking too much into this, let's take it as it comes. I don't think that the world will get back to working from homes and world will continue to work from homes. It's not going to happen. Maybe for few industries, tech-driven technology industries, yes, it might happen. IT industries, yes, it might happen. But it's very difficult for an FMCG organization to stand up and say that we'll work from home. It can't happen that way. So although we have worked from home, most of us last 9 months, and we are bringing in our numbers, we are doing our targets, everything is getting done. But it's not something I don't think this is going to be a long-term phenomenon. This is not going to be a long-term phenomenon. So ultimately, we might come up with a hybrid model, as you rightly said. So we might have policies where some people are actually allowed to work for a few days from home, and most of the people are actually working in the field. So we have more than 1,000 people working with us. Out of that, 600 people are in the sales force. So they need to be there on the toes in the market to go to the retail, to the wholesale, to the other markets. My modern trade team, more than 100 people there. So they need to visit those modern trade chains, to the people who are taking those decisions. You can't do all those things from home. I don't think it's possible. So we might have to come up with a hybrid model, but we're not thinking too much into it. We are taking it as it is coming. So because nobody knowing it, so we were very happy with our lives of going to office, going to gyms, going to malls, cinemas, doing socializing. Now, finally, what we are seeing after 9 months, it is the home, the family, which is where we are most safe. So 12 months back, nobody was thinking those things,
So
right?
one of the things people are saying कि पहले we used to do 1 year, 3 year, 5 year planning, and one of the people saying अभी COVID के बाद maybe वो बहुत ज़्यादा long term planning और करने से
No.
भी we have to have much shorter windows. So what do you think?
Yeah.
Is the planning cycle going to change?
So planning about the product and planning about the business, I don't think it's going to change. So we can, although yes, 5 year planning, usually I don't think today's situation, it's very fast evolving. So 5 years is, I feel difficult. 3 years is good. 3 years is good. But you can't say that it's so dynamic that in 3 months it's going to change. So if we are planning about any product launch, or if we are planning about any geographical expansion, or we are planning for any other thing, we always try to, we don't believe in that. Ultimately, I'm trying to transform that. Is usually what we have been doing so far is most of the organizations, it's present to future approach as to what we have done so far, and we try to build up on that. So it's like now we have to shift to future back approach. This is what we had been thinking even before COVID struck. But after COVID, you can't have a future back approach all through. But on certain areas you can do. So it's like a Google map. You fix up your destination first, and then you track yourself as to where you are moving and are you going into the right direction. So I think that future back approach is ultimately going to come up. For any business to grow bigger, we need to first have that vision as to where it has to go, and from there we start tracking from today as to how we are going to be there. But I think 5 years or 7 years or 10 years will be difficult currently. Maybe after things settle down a bit, then we can again start doing 5 year or 7 year planning. For now, 3 years, I feel, according to me, is good.
But also given that there may be sudden developments, like there could be a lockdown, like there could be a second wave, whatever.
Sure.
Do you think
Yeah.
companies also have to have a lot more of what is called agility or multiple scenario planning? अगर ये होगा तो ये करेंगे, वो होगा तो वो
Yes.
करेंगे. A
Yeah.
plan
Yeah. Yeah.
तैयार
That
रखेंगे.
that
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 approach.
versatility you have to. That versatility you have to. So it's a very fast changing world. So actually, you're not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. So as I said before, that we are not knowing whether the second wave is going to come or not. There is no announcement here. So what to do? So see, this we struggled during winters to produce because there was so much of demand. Till August or September, we were just trying to make our ends meet somehow. And suddenly when October struck, most of the stocks which we had got sold off in 10 days, which were planned till November. So we were running overtime during October and November during the peak festival season. We asked those poor fellows working in our units that why don't please, festival time hai, but please work, we need to feed to our consumers. So that agility, as you said, that's very important. So we have to remain versatile. At this point, yes, definitely. Next 7, 8, 10 months, till such vaccination is not happening, I think this had to be the scenario. We're not sure what's going to happen 2 months down the line.
Okay. We are almost spent an hour, and we have another half an hour. So I'm going to, I'll keep throwing questions at you, sir, but I'm also going to encourage other people to ask questions. So there's already a question which has come up from Amit Maheshwari, which is, as an entrepreneur, what is your mindset on taking risk? And anything that a mistake that you made and you learned a lot from it.
Wow, very good. Sir, very nice. I feel that we have to, what happens is most of the time when you get, when you taste initial success and then you want to actually hold on to that success and you don't want to let go anything. So you get much more formatted, much more boxed in that you want to do most of the things sure shot. So that's not going to take you anywhere. So ultimately you have to remain fearless and play your game as if you have nothing to lose. So when we do a startup, we always have this feeling that we have nothing to lose. So that startup mentality we need to maintain all through. Otherwise, we are not going to go any far.
Okay. There's a question from Gaurav, and I think Rajendra Prasad Yadav wants to get unmuted and ask a question. So after this, maybe Neha, you can unmute him. But first, Gaurav's question is, how important is external funding for business?
It all depends on the requirements. I mean, it's definitely important. External funding is important. If there is a requirement, so external funding is definitely required. More for startups because when the size is very small, that time and you want to make your business grow rapidly, that time I think it is much more requirement. For us, funding requirement will be maybe from bank loans and all those things. That funding requirement or PE funding or venture capitalist funding and all those things, I don't think. For now, we think that that's a requirement.
So you have grown entirely organically.
Yes, sir. There is no fertilizer growth. There is no fertilizer growth.
and there is no plan of IPO or anything at point of time?
Not at this moment. We're not thinking in that line as of now. So we are content with what we're doing. We're growing about 25-30% year on year, and we are content with that. We don't want to make it a fertilizer growth. So the fuel will burn out. And as I said, we're playing an infinite game. So I'm not looking at something to do till next 5 years and then I hang my boots and I hang my company and say that so be it. It's not going to be that way. So it has to be a sustainable organization. So we will take it as it comes.
Neha, do you want to unmute?
I maybe, sir, my thoughts will be very different from others.
No, that's okay. It is your business.
Sometimes I'm a rebel even in my board meetings. So so it's not that I'm sharing a view which is maybe acceptable to everyone.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Rajendra, you are unmute. Now you can ask your question.
So, Sunil ji,
yes, sir.
This is R.P. Yadav, and good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Mr. Yadav, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It was a very wonderful presentation by you. I represent a company called Genius Consultants Limited. And we are also headquartered at Kolkata. We have around 500 employees and about 52,000 outsourced employees. We are a 1,200 crore company. And
Great,
we
sir.
also, I always felt our organization is also about 28 years old from ACE. And I always felt that, we should be headquartered at Calcutta, although we have 15 offices across the country, and we should
Yes, sir.
work from here across the country. So
Yes, sir.
you spoke very nicely about your product in terms of skincare, personal product, how you escalated, how you did export, how you do the advertising. There's one area which I would like to know. You said that there was a one point of time you considered yourself as an unorganized company. From unorganized, you
Yeah,
came to organized, and you became more formal company. You have a factory in
yeah,
Calcutta, you have a factory in Baddi. So when you were
yeah.
unorganized, what was the HR policy you were having in those days? How you were dealing with the people, because you have a labor, you have a salesman, you have a workforce, you have a backroom operation people. And when you become organized and now that you become large company, so how do you practice the HR policy now? And particularly in the context of West Bengal, where people don't come, because of the labor militancy. Yes, please.
Yeah, so till 2010, when I think 2011 we moved on to started thinking about getting organized. Before that, we were the HR heads of the organization. There was no HR head in those days. So we were managing entirely on our own. Even the workforce, even the people who were working in the factories, people who were working in the office, everything was being maintained by us. So I think I take it very, honestly, I take it very good for our organization, because that is where the culture actually seeped into our people, the culture which we talked about, because they work very closely with us. Most of the people have stayed back with us for last 15, 20 years. So that culture has seeped into it, that organizational culture, which we were discussing about. So that is deeply now ingrained into them as well. It's not that only we are talking about it. So that way it has helped. And now after that, after getting organized, yes, now we have a full-fledged HR team. And of course, we have regular interactions with them. The leadership team, the founding members, they always have meetings with HR heads and all as to how we should be taking up things. As I said, this decision of, not retrenching anybody till December 2020 when COVID struck and all those pieces, these all we could get when we had a discussion with HR and said, hang on, this is what we want. So at times you have to, even if you have a full-fledged HR team and everything, you have to keep coming back to your culture and draw inspiration from there as to exactly what you should be doing. So I always feel that it's again a fusion approach. We have an HR, but HR works very closely with the leadership team, with the founding members, so that the culture remains intact. It doesn't get swayed away. And here in Bengal, sorry, I want to ask you about the last question you asked about Bengal.
Yeah, the last question was that you have a factory in Baddi and you have a factory in Calcutta also, or in West Bengal.
Yeah.
So how do you see the labor militancy here, and in context of the workers, how do you design the policy to manage here and also in Baddi?
So we have similar policies for every place. I mean, there is no separate policy for any separate state, and it's working very well. Although we have a very small manufacturing here, most of our operations still are in Baddi. So I think workforce-wise, 90% of the factory workforce is in Baddi. We have only about 5-7% people here as far as workforce is concerned. But the corporate office is here. 150 people working under one roof from the corporate office.
Yeah, very nice. It is a pleasure listening you, Sunilji. Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajendra Prasad ji.
Thank you.
There was a question from Shrutika, which is about, do you think there will be any consumer behavior changes while body care products, especially after COVID? So were there any trends happening anyway, and has COVID changed or accelerated any trend?
I will not say change or I will not say accelerated. None of these. Actually, change is always happening, but it's like more often than not, the basic requirements remain the same. So you need to moisturize your skin. You need to moisturize your skin. You need to cleanse it. You need to tone it. You need to nourish it, depending on what is the seasonality. So those all are the basic requirements, basic needs. So now there is an evolution happening, and there are a lot of new trends coming. So you can have a moisturization with a hydration boost, or you can have a bounce me up cream, or you can have a cloud cream, or things like that. But those are basically at the core, they are only moisturizers itself. So yes, definitely there is an evolution happening globally in the offerings, but the core remains the same. So some unaddressed needs are definitely there, and a few brands have come up in last 2 years who are actually addressing to the unaddressed needs of the consumers. I know one such brand, Dot and Key, which has come 2 years back, and they are actually addressing to the unaddressed needs of the consumers. So there are a few brands which have come, and those needs can never be addressed by people who are into mass market. So it has to be a community selling. You have to do it online most of the time, and it's a very very niche category, very niche. That's a very niche area. So we don't work too much into niche. We are a mass brand. So for us, that is not a play field.
So I think right now there is a bit of a controversy between Unilever soaps and this new German company which has come up with a pH 5.5 soap. Do you want to comment on it? What do you think?
In what way? I mean, what do you want to extract out of?
Is it something both in terms of product or in terms of marketing or communication? Is it something which is good or desirable, or is it something which is unnecessary and controversial?
Sir, there will be, you can write millions of pages on this. So it's like, ambush marketing or whatever you call it. So it is that definitely pH 5.5 is the skin pH, and they've been both very honest in saying that our pH is 5.5, but they could have done it a little differently instead of directly hitting at the big daddy Unilever. So they could have said that all other soaps are having pH of 7 or above, instead of directly targeting the brands. So maybe there they could have, but they wanted that two days of magic. They were knowing very well that one day this will go to the court and
they wanted to grab as much of eyeball and noticeability before.
So they wanted that talkability which is happening now. So they wanted that talkability. That is happening everywhere in the media circles.
But is it a good thing in the long run for a brand to have the short-term talkability? Because I'm connecting it to the question that Siddharth has asked. What is the most important point to keep in mind when you build a consumer brand, and that too in a long-term basis? What do you think?
Sir, here, I think they are here in this market for last 15 years, and very few people know about them. And, and it's not that they are new globally. They are a very respected brand in Germany. They're born out of Germany, and they're a good brand, very decent brand. Dharma brand, actually.
Yeah.
And maybe they had this struggle. Somehow we have to, put our head up and say that this is what we stand for and all that. So for that, maybe for a start, they might have needed this, but it doesn't work in long term. So you can't repeat doing these things on a regular basis. They are knowing very well that this will be only for 2-3 days. So they did that. Now I think they will stop this. They've already been stopped by the courts. So this is what I feel. So they got that talkability. That is what they wanted. They wanted a start. So if you ask me, I don't think there's anything much wrong about it.
Okay. Now, in terms of building brand, there's another question which has come from Abhijan. You mentioned that in terms of e-commerce, it's grown, but it's still not a major chunk. Maybe not in other countries or whatever. You said it's under 10% or whatever, especially in the mass segment.
Yeah.
But Abhijan's question is, do you think FMCG businesses in India need digital media communication more than earlier? And do you think that's a important and a growing need, or do you think that is also a little bit niche? What do you think?
No, you will need, even for a mass brand also, there is a requirement of digital media. But then when you are a mass brand, you need to actually, when you are doing media planning, you need to do it very judiciously, because earlier there was 360 degree. I think today's world, it is 720 degrees. I don't even think 360. You have so many mediums, and where to communicate, how to communicate, and millions of information coming to the consumer. The morning you wake up till you go to bed, you get millions of information. How how to get it registered into the, and you can, they can go by it, but nothing will get registered. It's very difficult. So you can have a good media mix where you should know your play field, where actually you're going to play harder. So we, as a brand, if you ask me, we are a mass brand. We still have major chunk of our communication to our consumers going through television, which is a mass medium, which is the still the number one preferred medium for communicating to the masses. But then, of course, there is a gradual, I will not say shift. A lot of chunk is now actually taken up by even digital also. So since last 2 years, we are putting in a bit of money into digital, but we are not going hardcore digital. We are not. Some brand starts thinking that we need to immediately shift. There is not going to be a shift. It's like taking a bit from here and putting it there. So we are doing such planning. So those same consumer which is seeing us on television and on digital medium, on an OTT, so they will see us on different mediums, and the registrability, top of mind recall may get better. So that is the idea. So I don't think only digital is going to work. If you are only an online brand, you can do 100% digital, no worries. But for a mass brand, only digital will not work. I think for now.
But the kind of communication and messaging on digital, do you think that can be more or less a replication or copy paste of what you see on TV, or do you think it has to be a very different kind of communication?
Very different, sir. It has to be very different. So what we do, we create a television commercial, and we make a campaign out of it and run it for 1.5 months non-stop, depending on the frequency which you want and the GRPs which we want to generate. But then the moment it comes to digital, it has to be a totally different ball game. So you can't have the same communication going the next day. So every communication has to be different. So that is where the challenge is. So most of the brands are struggling actually how much communication we can create. So even if I put 10 posts on Instagram, my people are not happy. We need to put more. So it doesn't work that way. So, and when in earlier days, we are doing one print when we are doing newspapers 15-20 years back for some time, one campaign, it will run for 3 months. No worries. We just need to create one. Now every hour we need to create one. It's like that. And it's for nothing. I mean, there's no ROI. There's no return on investments. It's people just scroll down, and I don't think whether they register it or not. So it's a very difficult situation to be in. So it's more of videos, I believe, instead of, static content, which is working on digital media. So there also, people don't want to see you beyond 5 seconds. So that's again a challenge.
The whole attention span is much lower in digital, right?
Yeah. So what do you do?
Okay.
So actually, it's a question to you, sir. I'll ask your advice.
We will have a discussion on this, but as you rightly said, there are no easy answers.
There's no easy answers on this. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question from Navendra Shekhar Jha. How do you see new emerging players backed by VC funding over a period, and how would your company respond to such competition?
Great. That's good. I want them more and more to come. So it's not a competition actually. They are creating more spaces, and they're creating more categories for the personal care portfolio, which is good. So today it might be niche. Tomorrow it might grow to be more required or more. Now it is more of want based. Then it might become a little bit of need based. So some categories might emerge. It's very good. This venture capitalist funding or PE funding, which these startups are getting, and they are able to do what actually they want to do and take few things which are not there so easily available on mass market, so they can create their own niche and make it grow. So actually we are seeing a lot of such. So you will not believe, in personal care, I don't think less than 200 brands coming in every month, maybe more, and actually 200 going out as well. That is also there. So it's like Ayaram Gayaram, that's happening. But some are sticking. So even if every year, if you are able to get 5-6 who are decent and reasonably they're able to stand up, it's good for the industry only. So they will expand the industry. It is always good. So more players, it is always better.
One of the things in your industry and in your own experience, what you mentioned, it's a long time to build a good product portfolio, get consumer traction, build your distribution channels, build a brand. It's not बहुत जल्दी फटाक से. But a lot of the other industries where we are seeing, there we use the word disruption, right? Well, there was a airline industry and suddenly it got disrupted because of all these booking sites, or there was disruption, let's say, in the hotel industry because of Oyo or Airbnb, in the taxi industry because of all the Uber, Ola, whatever. So do you think, compared to a lot of the other industries, FMCG is not that easy for, just because you're tech heavy or whatever, because of the nature of the industry and the nature of consumers, it's not so easy to be disrupted? What do you think? Or do you think there is scope for disruption?
No, it is. You are absolutely right. It is not so easy to get disrupted. As I said, you can create your own space. It's not so. Actually, you are expanding the overall category, overall business size. So it's not that you will, some things will shut down because they are in. It's not like that. So, and even those people are not very stable. So in FMCG, most of the time, what I have observed in the last 30 years, they have been brands who have come up with a lot of band baja, and they could really gain those limelight in 4-5 years, but they could not hold on to it. That is the thing. Even with these online brands which have come, I have been observing for last 3-4 years. Every 2-3 months I see one of the brands actually emerging on online platform, and after 1 year we don't find them, or we see that now they're out. So it's very difficult to hold on to. Actually have a legacy is very important in FMCG. This is what I believe, and you have to build up on it. So you can't have a FMCG brand built up in 6 months or 12 months or 24 months. It doesn't happen that way. So yes, you can create a space for yourself. You can be a desired brand. You can be a liked brand. You can be a preferred brand. That is okay. But it's not that you will run away with everything. You can't. You can have maybe 0.5% or 1% of the share, but you cannot run away with the entire portfolio. You cannot do that. So it will take time. It definitely will take time. Be it food, even in food, anything in FMCG, you just can't. There's no transformation happening actually. It's not that people are shifting. People stopped using moisturizers and using something else. It's not like that. So it's not going to happen so easily. It's a tough ask.
Okay. The other thing that has again been talked about, but probably happened in a very limited way, but again, I've been reading or hearing about, thanks to COVID, that some companies are trying to do again or doing in a bigger way, is what is called this whole direct to consumer kind of channel or whatever, right? We had heard about how, this company called Dollar Shave Club gave a, challenge to Gillette, because they would send razors or cartridges directly to consumers by, courier, etc. Now, again, do you think anything like that, this whole, we've been hearing about companies like Unilever, P&G, etc., trying to reactivate their DTC or direct to consumer kind of business or channels. Do you think that kind of attempt or trend, maybe partly because of COVID, maybe because of online, maybe they want to get rid of intermediaries who are, also trying to build up their own white label brands, etc.
Yes.
Do you think that kind of attempt can happen, or do you think that is possible in India or in other countries?
I think for India, it's early days. So we, to be honest, I can't comment very strongly on that, but I don't think that they can do much of dent. So early days for Indian market. Online, yes, there are a lot of products which you can, register. Every month you will get a buy. Every month you will get a supply of that particular product. That is happening indirectly. Those things are already happening with online. You can put it on Amazon or any other platform for that matter. That is happening, but that's a repeat mass consumption item. Again, a shift from general trade, which you had been buying. You have been buying a particular brand of shampoo for last 5 years. You want to repeat buy it. You put it on that platform, and every month you'll get your supply. It's a shift from general trade or a modern trade to a e-commerce platform. But these type of phenomena, I think it is an early day for India. It's not. I don't think it's getting right very easily. I don't think so.
Okay. So we've heard that modern trade for a long time, but in India, again, modern trade has not probably crossed more than 10-12%, and now it it is probably also getting challenged by the same consumer group because of e-commerce. So you think a Kirana store phenomenon, which in a lot of other countries has almost disappeared, they've either become chains or supermarkets. But in India, this whole Kirana store phenomenon, do you think this is going to last for a long time?
Yes, it is going to last for a long time for that matter.
Okay.
So it's not India has multiple layers. It's not a country where you have 3 layers of consumers, upper class, middle class, and lower. I always think there are 20 layers. So even in middle class, you will find 7, 8 layers. So it's not everybody will not go to a modern trade or a e-commerce to buy things. So it becomes almost unaffordable and inaccessible. So to remain accessible, you need those. In a vast country like ours, there's definitely a play for Kirana for a long time to come. They won't disappear.
Even in the Kirana store business, we are seeing like Reliance initially wanted to do it from their own warehouse. Now they want to do their, take over Kirana stores and, brand them and franchise them. Then there are these back-end technologies like Udan, which are coming to do the entire, B2B fulfillment. So do you think any of these trends will catch on? And some of these are
these will. Yes, definitely. These will definitely catch on, and they will also have some share. As I said, if you ask me, by 2030, as reported by Nielsen, but it might change next year, overall FMCG business, about 25% will be modern trade, 10% will be e-commerce, 65% still will remain with mom and pop stores. In 2030, we are in 2021 start. So another 10 years from now, when we are seeing the entire world will move on to online. So after 10 years, it will be 10%. It's not that the entire world is going to go there. It's like that. So these will also get some share. This is like that only. So you will count them in online only, nothing else.
Okay.
So a DMart, who is actually a modern trade guy, a brick and mortar store model, they are also putting things on online in few cities. So they are doing online and offline. Flipkart is going to do that with Walmart. So this is how most of these platforms are going to make their play. So there's already Amazon and that BB thing. I don't know future group what is going to happen. Even though they are also looking at brick and mortar as well as this. So there will be a fusion approach. Even see, nobody is happy with one channel now. So even if you have an online hero, still you want a brick and mortar with you. Or if you are a brick and mortar guy, you want an online with you. So nobody wants to miss out on the share. It's only about share. It's nothing is going to grow out of it. Consumption has to grow. It's only a fight for the share. Who's going to have that share?
Okay, I think we are on the last 5 minutes. So if anybody has maybe 1 or 2 more questions, we can accommodate it. I have about 2 or 3 questions which I'm going to throw, and we will try to finish in the next 5 minutes. Is that okay, Sunilji?
Yeah, sir. No worries. Yes.
Okay. For me, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, but I know it's a Friday evening.
For me as well, sir. Always.
Okay. So what are the vision, way forward, plans, future ahead that you foresee for your company RSH Global, for the brand Joy, for the brand Caris?
Sir, future vision, if you ask me, there are next 5 years, what I feel, I'll put them again in 3 buckets, internal, external, as well as others. So the internal will be to, professionalize and, make our people understand where is the opportunity. So our entire force should understand that we have a huge opportunity as an organization. We are sitting on a huge opportunity, and we are trying to take our organization. We are 7th largest in skincare to be amongst the top 5 in next 5 years. So that is what I keep talking. It's not only about the numbers. We have to be much more a respected brand. So that's internal, which I want to do. Externally, we want to grow on more geographies. We are very strong in some geographies. We are very weak in some geographies. So we want to select 2, 3. We already selected for that matter 2, 3 geographies where we want to scale up. So that will be again a future back approach. So this is what next 3 years in these geographies we should be here. So now we start plotting backwards as to from today how do we start. So this is what we are doing as far as geographical expansion is concerned. We are doing even better class of outlets. So for now, maybe we are we are not so much in A class or B class outlets in many geographies. So we want to definitely better the outlet class. So externally, these are majorly the things. So, and we want to spruce up our S&D, which is a constant work in, that is where the maximum human resource involvement is required. And that is where you need the maximum muscle to run an FMCG. So that's a constant challenge, but that's where we are trying to grow on our S&D footprints. So we are getting the sales force transformation and all those things also in place. Maybe in very short, it's just started because of COVID, got delayed a bit. So those things, and trying to grow on few more categories. Like we are investing hugely on face washes. We'll invest in some other categories as well in future. So this is what we think. And overall, as I say, I'm constantly trying to work on improving on the brand imagery and the brand perception part as to how we make ourselves a much more desirable, much more preferred brand for our consumers. So that is where my challenge personally, I feel, is.
Okay. So expansion into new geographies, new categories, make the brand stronger, and the companies, stronger, higher up in the hierarchy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I know that your company has also done some interesting initiatives in terms of be it CSR, be it, taking this whole natural platform, or, trying to, challenge the concept of beauty, the traditional, etc. So where is that, if I may call it, the brand ideology or philosophy rooted, and where is it headed?
Sir, so most of the personal care brands, as everybody knows, I mean, they are very stereotypical, very as to you put this and you will get this transformation and all those things. So we as a brand, we claim that you are born beautiful. Every woman is born beautiful, and she should not think to transform herself. She just has to maintain it, and that is where the brand ideology comes in. So that is what Joy stands for. So we are not going to transform you. We are going to take care of you so that you are able to maintain whatever naturally you got since you were born. So that is what Joy stands for. So we don't do any transformation. We don't do any fairness claims. We don't do, as a policy, we don't do any fairness claims on those type of products. So we will do only things which are required. So that's why we are number one in moisturizers, because we have put all our interest into that. That is where our play field is. People need to moisturize their skin so that it remains soft and healthy. So that is where we have worked, and that's where we have actually grown and be the leaders. So that is an identification which we have done from the onset. And when we communicate, we want to be very distinctively different from others. So it's like there's an interesting story. We signed somebody like Bharti Singh, the comedian Bharti Singh. So we signed her to endorse our body lotion. And when we approached her directly, we told her the story. Initially, she said that I don't believe you just come to play pranks with us. So nobody will sign me for a body lotion. Nobody, a beauty brand will buy, sign me. And then we said we are serious and we have a story for you. And we read out the story to her, and she had tears in her eyes. She said, "This is my story, and I'll do it." And that became case history. So if other people, if they want Joy Bharti Singh TVC, if they type, they will see a very interesting story as to when she was younger, people used to abuse her that you are Hathi, Moti and Laddu. And then, she always looked that somebody should at least realize that I am beautiful as well. And he said, somebody, when I am definitely beautiful, which I was knowing myself, but thankfully now the world view is changing, and even a brand like Joy has identified me to play for the beauty brand. So it's a very beautiful concept which we did. And thereafter, the communication, whatever we are doing, we have always been doing clutter breaking. We are breaking the stereotypes in every communication which we do. So we will not do what everybody is doing. This product has got this ingredient and this will do wonders for you and you will get a transformation and all those things. No, even there also we are very distinctly different from all other brands. So we try to play that. So it's not that every time we come out with a wow story. So something which sticks to you is something like we did with Bharti. But we can't come up with something so innovatively different every time. But we always maintain that we will try to break the stereotypes. That is always there.
Great. Okay, Sunilji, we are almost over time. The last question, TiE is an organization of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And in our Kolkata chapter, there are a mix of, old and young. So what is your message to entrepreneurs in general and entrepreneurs from East and Kolkata, who are all eagerly listening to you here? What is your message? What is your key takeaway?
So we have to be fearless. That's what, because you keep taking risks. Even if you get initial success, don't just sit on it. So success comes very easily. It can come very easy initially. But then if you get into your comfort zone, never think that is going to last. So even if you grow big, you have to keep taking risks. So, and calculated risk, of course. You don't just go and jump anywhere. So you have to play fearless. That is very important. And as you grow big, this is again something, a rebellious statement, I will say. So as you grow big, we are facing some challenges there. So systems and processes take up, so everything is guided by systems and processes. And then, in an organization, you can't have multiple cultures. So what happened is, you get shackled by a lot of systems and processes that ye karo, uske baad ye milega and all that. So that culture should not be allowed to set into the organization, even when you are growing, because that stops your growth. I always feel that even if you've grown big, in some areas, you should constantly try to seed, nurture, and grow. This is what I always see. You seed, you nurture, and then you make it grow. So there you have to keep working. Even if you're a large organization, you have to keep working like a startup. So now when I'm starting up a new geography or trying to take up a weaker geography, I will try to work as a startup in that geography. I'll not say I'm a number 7 skincare brand in India. In that geography, I'm a nobody. So in that geography, I have to work like a startup. So that, that brain mein ye leke jayenge, if we go with that mind that we are what we are, no, nobody is going to talk to us. So that mentality while creating new products, that should always be there. When you're going to place that product, you have to convince your customers. So that again is very important. And you have to be very fast, the third and the most important one. Because today's world, as everybody is saying, it's not the big which is eating the small. It is the fast which is eating the slow. This is what I've been been thinking, and this is where actually, if you are fast, don't think about the competition. There is no competition. You have to constantly beat yourself. That's all. What you have done yesterday, you should be better today. That is what the mantra should be for everybody. This is what I feel. So there's no competition. Anybody who asks me who is your competitor, because FMCG, it's a common question. People will ask, who is your competitor? There's no competitor. We need to be better than what we have been. We are not playing an finite game. We don't have to be rich. And even if we become number 1, what we are then going to do? I am happier being a challenger brand. I'm happy. Let it be. So at least I am always trying to devise new strategies, disruptive things, so that I can, challenge the one who is sitting at number 1. So it should be. That should be the mindset. So I think these are some common things which we very simple things, but I think these are very important for any young.
Sunilji, what I took out
is keep that enthusiasm. I keep that enthusiasm of a 25-year-old boy. Even today, after 33 years of my journey, that enthusiasm still there. Every day when I wake up, I have an enthusiasm to create something new. That is where the passion should be. So you should not get into a comfort zone. Then actually you're not getting into comfort zone. Other people are moving, no? So it is the fast which is going to eat the slow. So if you stop your speedometer, you can't do much. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yes. So this is really inspiring, because you're now a large FMCG company, which is national and global, but you actually spoke like a startup, sir, right?
Sir,
you talked about innovation, you talked about new products, you talked about speed, you talked about the challenger mindset, not resting on your laurels, challenging others, challenging yourself, thinking fast, and having the speed, the enthusiasm of a 25-year-old. I think that's the big learning that I think all of us can learn. And it's very interesting coming from a established leader, and that too from an FMCG. And I think now we look back and we understand much better that how you've continued your success through all the phases of your journey. And
thank you, sir. I'm honored.
It's been an honor for all of us, personally for me, but I know everybody else in the group. And I want to thank on behalf of TiE Kolkata. I want you to, behalf of all the people present here, and I know there are many more people who are watching it on Facebook Live, and it will be recorded and shared among all our members. So I think there's a lot of genuine pearls of wisdom and learning we have all taken out. And I'm sure we will keep reflecting and reminding ourselves of what you shared with us today. Thank you so much, Sunil ji.
I'm overwhelmed, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Stay well, stay safe.
Thank everyone. Thank you very much for being an audience to what we talk.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice
day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye.